Hello, beautiful folk, and welcome to day 24 of SWDY Talks, where we are posting 31 videos in 31 days talking about women's wellness. So wait, 24 out of 31, we're almost done. Very exciting. Before we get to today's topic, just in a heads up that we're having some technical difficulties getting these post up to IG and Facebook. If you want to check out the full videos and you're having any trouble doing so here, you can find them on our YouTube channel. You can find the link to our to the YouTube channel on our in our bio. So, but we really know what's going on, right? This is Mercury's retrograde wreaking its retrograde havoc in all things communication. So just FYI. Thank you all for your feedback on my recent post about the 8 needs of the body. A lot of you have told me how super useful you found that, and I'm super glad to hear it. I know that our kids do great with it. I know that it's easy. It makes it so mechanical and easy for me to kind of keep track of myself. A related topic that has come up offline around self-care is shame and its functions and effects. So shame has become a super prevalent topic in my life, and I'm currently obsessed with it. I talk about it all the time. Shame and I go toe to toe every single day. And many of you have asked me to speak on it here because we've had offline conversations about it. So here we go. So some time ago, I pondered about how our genetic inheritance from our, early humans tended towards prioritizing the clan over our personal needs, and how we came to equate connection to survival. So after all, back then, if you were successful in the clan, you survived and you were protected by the clan. But if you were exiled, you more than likely died a really quick and painful death in a brutal environment. The conditioning that resulted from that is that we are hardwired for connection and have a powerful aversion to anything that might disconnect us. The rash of shootings, lonely people, disconnection, it's painful, it's real. So this fear of disconnection is what I have learned is the basis for shame. Everything I have learned about shame, I have learned from reading or listening to Brene Brown, the leading sociologist on the topic, and Oprah talking about Brene's work. Brene's amazing. She's incredible. She's life-changing. She's authentic. She's so real. And I love her Texan, but I think she's amazing. And the way that Brene defines shame is that it is the intensely painful feeling that we are unworthy of love and belonging. Yes. So Brene says that shame is the modern epidemic, right? And that it is at the root of so many broken behaviors that we see are prevalent today. She also says, as do, by the way, countless other social behavioral focused folk, that it is lethal, that shame is lethal, and it does indeed destroy lives. To help us identify the feeling that is shame, because I don't think, it's out, we think it's one thing, but it's not. So she distinguishes shame from guilt in a way that I find super helpful. So guilt is I did something wrong, something that falls short of my own values or beliefs, and I feel bad about it. I regret that. I shouldn't have done that. Shame is something is wrong with me. My underlying value or rightness is in question. Something is wrong with me. So here are some ways that shame shows up in your everyday so that you can kind of, think about that. The shame of not being ideal, perfect man or woman, and whatever that encompasses. It may be body, it may be beauty, it may be, career, it may be whatever, Shame of not being chaste or of being chaste. The disease of shame that accompanies sexual abuse, particularly. It feels like you are broken and unworthy in the deepest recesses of your soul, like you want to hit the do-over button on this lifetime, and that stays with you if you don't get help. The shame of being deemed unworthy of your full set of rights. Does that sound familiar? So women, people of color, existing in the United States while black is a shameful experience. Actually, in a lot of places in the world, black unworthiness is confirmed with every legal, social, and physical transgression. It is confirmed by close to 250 years worth of history. by the very cultures that we stew in and live in and breathe in. Think about that. And while that's starting to break up, it's still there. This is stuff that's programmed, that's in our brain. The shame of womanhood, of not being the body for whom our laws were written, of not having our full humanity acknowledged and considered in the writing of our laws and the acknowledging of what's important in society. Dude, we give birth to y'all. We feed y'all with our breast. We still can't get it. Not having our reality inform the norm, right? The fact that the norm and all normative behavior is male, and particularly white male. In this country, the shame of poverty, right? U.S. capitalism judges us at every turn. So there's just a lot of examples of how we can find shame and what are really common ones, and there's uncommon ones. Things that can be really sensitive, very cultural and very specific to your culture. So I hope that some of this helps you identify any shame that may be lurking in your life. And believe me, shame lurks. But play with those definitions a little bit. See if you can identify how shame might be showing up in your life. And please, please, please check out Brené's many, many TED Talks on the topic. And I highly recommend Brené's books, particularly my two favorites, Daring Greatly and Braving the Wilderness. Those are required reading for all humans. Life-changing stuff, really. And okay, so if this hits home, what do we do, right? Okay, so thanks, Yosara. We see shame. Got it. In a talk with Oprah on Super Soul Sunday, Brené says that shame needs 3 things to grow exponentially in our lives: secrecy, silence, and judgment. So the first thing to do when we feel shame is to, number one, figure out what it feels like in our bodies. It feels different for different people. For me, I feel like I want to shrink from like the center of my soul, and I just want to like collapse on myself. Awesome. So the first thing to do when you're feeling shamed is to be super gentle with yourself. Do not judge yourself. Understand that this is the playing field of human growth that you are dealing with. Be kind, be loving. What helps me is that I think of Prasad and how I would speak to Prasad. This was a therapist trick. How I would speak to Prasad if I saw his little face feel shame, or I see him feel really pained about something. What would I say to him? How would I treat him? How gentle would I be? How kind would I be? What would my words sound like? And I speak to myself that way. Whatever you can do in the moment, be kind to yourself and just do it. Drink water, be still, breathe, go for a walk, give yourself time, give yourself space, soothe yourself, say soothing things to yourself. Then as soon as you can speak about it, talk it. Talk about your shame. Shame cannot survive being spoken. Find a friend, a family member, or a professional who can hold safe space for you while, and who will, witness you speaking your shame to its death. Tell them, I am feeling shame about, or I'm feeling ashamed because of this. This is what I feel. This is what I feel is wrong. It might be difficult at first if you're not used to doing this kind of work, and it is work, but keep at it. Don't keep it to yourself, because the silence and the keeping it to yourself, it unravels, it gets bigger, it gets worse. It's a disease, y'all. Free yourselves. And see if you're doing your shame work doesn't help you with dealing with the rest of humanity. All of a sudden we become so much more compassionate to our fellow human beings. Just saying. So my therapist, or she who shall not be named because her super thick boundaries prohibit me from sharing her name, also because she's mine and only mine, nobody else's. She wanted me to get clear that the best way to stay in shame is to judge ourselves for falling short of our expectations. She's been listening to us about how poorly we feel when we don't self-care or when we don't prioritize our wellness. But the truth is that feeling bad is our self-abuse. It is not self-care to judge yourself for not perfectly executing your self-care routine. And in fact, the fastest way to avoid you continuing on self-care is to judge yourself and be a jerk to yourself for not going to class. So you might as well just have that cookie, have that bacon, have that donut, have all of that if you're gonna beat yourself up about not coming to class, right? Don't do it. In fact, it is that moment of judgment and of self-abuse, that feel bad, that's going to keep you from it, right? Deep. I struggle with this concept, and she's like repeated it to me like a million times, but I'm going to get it, watch. But I think she got it. I got it when she pointed out that I was using self-judgment and feeling bad to avoid feeling anxieties and fears that are coming up for me. So twisted. So when you feel bad about yourself, be gentle, be kind, accept yourself, love yourself even more in your flawed humanity. In fact, love yourself because of your flawed humanity. Love yourself. Rep your set, my friends. Love who you are. Be on your side. Be team me all day. I know I love y'all, and I think every single one of you are fantastic. Even the ones I got beef with. Yes, you. And know that I am learning to love me. So thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next episodes. And as always, I leave y'all in love and light. Peace.